What is going on, everybody, down here? And I want to talk a little bit about some of I'll call it an air pocket in the Pokemon bubble, in the Pokemon market. It's a little bit of a malaise, if you will, right now, especially with some higher end products. So I want to talk about a couple things, and the first of which is the opportunity in the market. I'm going to come back to this Pokemon supply and demand dilemma because this is the antithesis of what the Pokemon company is up against in the current market. But what I've been seeing with a lot of, especially sealed booster boxes and some of the high dollar booster boxes that have run quite a bit, there seems to be a pretty sizable opportunity with auctions right now. And in addition, if you're interested in this, Probstein is obviously leaving eBay. He's going to his own platform. I've never used Probstein. I've probably bought one or two things in the past. I don't really deal with him. I don't know who he is. I know he's in Dirty Jersey, so that's cool. But moving from all of the eyes on eBay to obviously fewer eyes to some extent on his own platform, if you're a buyer, it is 100% worth looking at the auctions. I know he was offering like a 3% commission early on, because look, you have to effectively pay for the volume, right? That's the marketing. So it's going to be very interesting early on to see if the auctions are a little bit light. But what we're seeing right now, and we'll go through a couple different items here. So this is funny. It's titled Pokemon Boxes Never Go Down. And these are some items that were shared in Discord, and I find it entertaining. So on September 1st, we have a Unified Minds booster box. And granted, Unified Minds is kind of all over the place. Buy it now, $3,550. October 20th, this was an auction. And again, if you're selling big dollar items in an auction, you are a fucking idiot because you risk having not enough buyers. You need two buyers that are willing to go to the mats to get to a price that makes sense. So here, that didn't happen. Box sold for $1,775, effectively half of what the Buy It Now sold for 50 days earlier. Moving on. So T-Bump. Granted, this was a box that sold in Australia. I don't see it canceled. It looks like it's legit. October 6th. And here it says minor shrink tear as well. This is most likely in Australian dollars, so don't pay any mind to this. Australian dollars, it's a little bit weaker than a Canadian dollar, so call it $1.50. So this is probably somewhere in the $7,500 range. And then you look at this here. This is an auction as well, $5,900. Wait. Oh, yeah, Team Up. So, yeah, Team Up is probably $7,500, $8,000. Now you're down to $5,900. I remember somebody in Discord was looking at selling a case of this. And the problem that you have with selling a case of something this big is you never know what you're going to get unless you open it. And when you open it, you destroy the value. So, yeah, this person in Discord knew somebody that was looking to sell a case, and I made an offer, and it was pretty much right around here times 6, and I got laughed at, which is fair. If I was selling it, I would have laughed at it too. But I'll give you a perfect example. I ordered a case of Chilling Reign ETBs. This was back in May, maybe even April, and it got lost in the mail. So I reached out to the seller and said, "Look, dude, this got lost in the mail. Please tell me you didn't just slap a label on the fucking box and mail it." And he's like, "Well, that's how we mail everything, but this is bullshit, blah, blah." So it never came. I finally got a refund, whatever. So last week, I see this box outside, and I'm like, I didn't order anything. Like, what the hell's the box? I just assume it's my wife getting something from Macy's or wherever. And there's a big sign on it that says Reconnaissance Division, whatever it is, USPS. And it was a fucked up box of ETB. So I'm like, okay, I don't really know what this is. I assumed it was a box that I had, or something that I had sold to one of our subs, and it just got returned to sender, or somehow made it back to me. So I go home, and it's the tape's cut, whatever. So I open it up, and it has a little letter, and it says USPS, whatever. And on the packing list, it is the case of Chilling Reign. I'm like, holy shit! I thought this thing was long stolen, but it wasn't. So I open the case. it's a case of Silver fucking Tempest. And the label was so faded, I would have taken delivery of that. I would have assumed it was chilling rain the entire time. Now, the price of the ETBs today isn't that much different, but in that scenario, you have a problem because you have a sealed product that isn't what it was represented to be, right? No different than if I buy a case of Team Up, it doesn't really matter what the label says. I mean, it does to some extent, but these labels they're all heat pressed or what the fuck it is. So the ink, it's not even ink. So the color fades over time. So obviously, time is in your favor when you're holding the product. Works against you when you want to read the fucking label. So this is a scenario that if I ever went to sell it, somebody would most likely discount heavily for the risk that the item in the case just wasn't the case. And I've experienced this selling some vintage Magic. I've had some sealed alpha beta unlimited where there have been so many fakes, especially in the starter decks. People just don't believe it's real. And unless you're going to sell it to somebody who's doing a break, you're never going to get full value. And they're not going to pay full value anyway, because generally speaking, people who break packs are the cheapest MFers in the world. So anyway, this is a scenario that if you want Team Up, pay attention to these auctions because $5,900, not a bad price. It's just not. And look, the market could get softer, but the market has run up so far so fast. When you hit an air pocket in this auction, this is not representative of the market. This is representative of bad timing in a market that is not super liquid. All right. So moving to the next one, everybody's favorite, Lost Origin. Let me go to this one here. So September 4th, $980. Everybody's like, holy shit, Lost Origin's gonna be $1,000. And this was an auction. This was a probe steam. You fast forward to today, 56 bids. This sold for $660. Now, obviously, there's different reputations with sellers and things like that. So no sale, no auction is the same, generally speaking, right? But to take a 33% haircut in a month and a half, I don't care about the seller. The seller's obviously selling this because they need the money. As a buyer, I would buy Lost Origin for $660 in this scenario. I think that is a fair and reasonable price for the box, given the current market. I 100% think by the end of next year, Lost Origin is going to be over $1,000. Even if we go into the ultimate bear market in Pokemon, older product that's out of print doesn't really tend to get impacted that much. And we saw that during COVID, and we saw that in kind of the last meltdown with the overprinting. So let's talk about overprinting. And somebody in Discord was asking me about this, and I threw this together real quick, and hopefully, I don't know if I can make this any bigger. Whatever. So this is the dilemma that the Pokemon Company has, and this is a concept that I always have in the back of my head. So on the left, we have the booster box price, the demand equations in the middle. So this is just basically, where's the demand coming from? And to the right is the print run too little or too much based on the normalized world that we never live in because there's no normal. And I'll get into that in a second. So with the booster box prices at $100, the demand's organic. The only people buying those boxes are people that would buy them in ordinary course regardless, because at $100, there's no quick flip. It's not I buy, wear Lambo, whatever, crypto bro shit. It is, I want the box at $100. I think in 5 years, it's going to be worth $200 or $300. Or I just want to rip the cards with my kid. Any multitude. The same at 120, 140, and 160. Now, 160, this is where you have the problem. And at these prices, the print runs are too low relative to demand. And the reason I say that is we are at this price point, and the lower the price point is, the lower that the print runs are going to be in a reactionary world after the Pokemon Company adjusts, because this is a pendulum swinging back and forth, and they're always correct. Think of the Pokemon market as the Titanic aiming for the iceberg. You have to overcompensate to not hit the fucking iceberg going left, And then once you turn left, you have to turn the wheel as hard as you can right to go back straight. And it's going to take a while for the ship to correct. Only this is a cycle that's probably 24 to 36 months. And that's just the unfortunate nature of it, because it takes that long for things to settle down. So at $100 to $160, there's really no scalping. It's a healthy market. Even if stores are buying at $90, $95, now up to $110 a box, because most of the distributors have increased booster box prices pretty substantially. This is perfectly normal. LGSs have product. Anybody who wants product, I have as much product as I want, as much product as I can sell. Folks that want to sock this away and sit on it forever and sit on, tens, 50s, hundreds of cases, they can buy it. They can buy it at a reasonable, inexpensive price. Once you go over 160, and again, we will touch the MSR penis. And again, the reason I say 160, I'm talking the MSRP level, where people who aren't interested in owning the cards, they're interested in making a profit, are able to buy cards that become a profitable transaction without distribution access. And that is very, very specific. Back in Sword and Shield, it was 143. Now it's 161 or whatever, it doesn't change. In the future, it's probably 180. So it probably shifts this curve up a little bit. But from 160 to $200, I will tell you that this is never real. So this is scalp mode. This never exists. There are never going to be booster boxes in the current market that are coming out that are going to be priced between 180 and 200. Now, you've seen it with you saw it with the Sword and Shield sets, but those were after the fact, after they were printed. We saw it with Surging Sparks, and once it crossed into that 160, it was at 250 before you knew it. And every single product after that set a new floor as to what the cost was in the market, because all the big box stores are selling at this number. So all of a sudden, you get to a point at above MSRP, theoretically, where it's profitable to buy the product at big box stores and sell it. So you have a massive influx of demand, which is artificial. And that demand is going to suck up every single ancillary product they can get their hands on. You are now officially depriving this group of getting product here, because now you have automated purchasing, you have botting, you have things like that people didn't have to do here. So they're not equipped to do that, because I didn't have to do it before. What the hell do I have to do it now? So this artificial pushes the price up to, say, $220. Part of the reason for that is if I'm buying at 160, I got to sell it somewhere north of $200 for it to be worth my while. If not, I'm just going to sit on it until it goes there. Now, a lot of these botters are not super liquid, but either way. So this is an area, this is the problem area, because if I'm a Pokemon company and I start printing too much, the second that the product gets under 200, and this is what we saw with the Spider-Man collector boxes, the second the collector boxes got to the point where it wasn't profitable, or there was even a slight risk that it wouldn't be profitable for all these botters to pay for the product, they canceled all their orders. So the supply went from here all the way down to here. Or I'm sorry, the demand went from here all the way down to here, because all of that artificial demand went to zero immediately. So, and this is why I think the Pokemon company is struggling, because there is no equilibrium. You cannot get there. It's never going to happen, because it can't. So once you get up here, 220, 240, 260, 300, the demand is artificial, because now you're in hype mode. You have everybody and their brother who's buying sneakers, fucking Halloween decorations, whatever. They're now buying Pokemon because it's profitable. And the impact of this is now the Pokemon company ramps up print runs, specifically in English, to the point where now they're printing way too much. Now, you don't see the impact in the market, because you have all of these folks that are still buying, and they're buying every single product. they can't get enough because it's literally just free money. So now the print runs are too high. And this is what we saw in Sword and Shield near the end of COVID. Now, the reason why demand was higher there and we saw the spike was people had nothing to do with their money. This is a little bit different. This is not a lockdown. This isn't an influx of capital into the market. Now, obviously, you could say crypto is moving up and dollars like that are moving in here, which is certainly true. And I think in the early phases of this, as the Sword and Shield boxes skyrocketed, specifically Fusion, Evolving, Lost Origins, there were some substantial profits there that could be rolled into $100, $110 booster boxes in Scarlet Violet, which, effectively, if I paid $80 for Fusion Strike, I sell the box for $600. Guess what? Now I could buy a case of SV Base, Paldea Evolved, Obsidian Flames, Paradox Rift, any set you wanted to, up until, call it March. No, really September, October of 2024. So that started to kick it off. So you get up here, you have all this artificial demand because everybody in the world is trying to bought the product off any site they can, trying to flip boxes to make $50. It is an absolute hype fest because it's free money for anybody that can get their hands on the product. And again, the unintended consequences, Pokemon has to cap that demand, and the only way to do that and push print runs down is to increase the print runs to the point where it's entirely too much for the market. No different than the reason we got here was because the supply became too great for the market, an artificially inflated supply due to all of these scalpers. If you want to use that term or not. Now the print runs have to do the exact same thing. So as things theoretically slow down, and look, there's a lot of Charizard UPCs coming out to market. A lot of folks can get them. I don't think it's going to make a difference because even at the price point now, if people go to Costco, they're never going to get it at $90. It's just going to be the scalpers that buy it at $90. So it doesn't matter how many they drop. It's not going to have an impact because all these bots have 50, 100 accounts. They pay for all the memberships. Dropping cheap product at Costco does nothing but frustrate us normal people. So that has no impact. Now with the UPC going to distribution, there was a pretty sizable increase in supply going to distribution. That's made it to LGSs, etc. So that'll go into the market, and it will start to saturate the market to some extent. I don't think it's going to have a huge impact. But come Q1, and theoretically, they really start hammering booster boxes because this is where they fucked up. They fucked up by printing all these EX boxes and trying to attack the actual pack price, the commodity in Pokemon. And I think at that point, you're fighting a battle with the Rip and Chips, which is a vast paper shredder of packs. And, I did a video a couple weeks ago on just how inefficient those EX boxes are to ship and how few packs there are versus booster boxes. And I understand they may have wanted to bypass traditional distribution and go through MJ and Excel through big box stores to get product in the hands of the botters. They didn't think that one through. That was kind of stupid. But look, hope is an amazing drug. So now the only thing they can do is they need to dump a massive amount of print runs. A massive amount of booster boxes. And they have to inundate distribution so much that they don't have the space to store it. They can't sit on it. They have to move it because they have so much cash and working capital tied up. They just have to. I received a call the other day from one of my distributors. They are starting to, I don't want to say fire sale because that's the wrong term, discount some product in big name games because they're running out of space in certain warehouses. So if Pokemon comes in over top, and it's specifically because Magic the Gathering just dumped a shitload of play boxes and more commander displays, etc. If Pokemon comes over the top and they start dumping 1 million booster boxes of Mega 1, Mega 2, Destined, Mega 3, theoretically when it comes out, all around the same time, they're going to create such a logjam of product at distribution. Distribution will have to sell the booster boxes at a discount because there's just not enough capital in the LGSs to take everything at that point. And what that'll do, now you have the LGSs that have too much product. They're going to have to cut the price to the point where now everybody's bought their fill. Now the market's saturated and it can reset. Now, does that swing down to $100, $120, $140 in the near term? Absolutely. That's the whole point of doing it. But the only way you're going to break through this scalp mode and you're going to wipe out that artificial demand is you're going to have to dump booster boxes. And there's the unfortunate thing is you can't half-ass it because you're going to dip down to here and you're going to spike right back up and you're going to have to do it all over again. So this is one of those scenarios where you're going to have to set the market straight. You're going to have to wait until you have enough product. You're going to have to pay to house it and you're going to have to dump it. You're going to have to make all the distributors take it, whether they have space or not. And you're just going to have to hammer the market. So therein is where the opportunity lies. So if you're looking for older booster boxes that are out of print that have a fairly sizable price tag, look at the auctions right now. Because if you're bidding and it seems like it's light, you have an opportunity to get 30, 40% off the product. If you're looking for new stuff, I have not heard of any reprints imminent. I know there was a troll meme going around about a bunch of old SV sets. That was fake, by the way. I know there's some idiot YouTubers who made videos about, oh my God, what if this happens? It's fake. It was clearly a troll post to fuck with people. This is going to have to happen in early 2026. The Pokemon Company cannot continue to do this. At some point, they're going to have to stop messing around with the EX boxes, and they know it. They know they're wasting time. And look, they're making a lot of money off of it. But having boxes come out at $300 is really damaging the product. Destined Rivals at $400 a couple months after release. It's starting to damage the brand. And damaging the brand is, and I keep saying this, the only thing they care about more than making money. So, and by the way, they can reset not damaging the brand and make a shit pile of money all at the same time by cramming all this product down distribution's throat. And then you can reset. And the world is a great place. And we move forward with a normalized market until the next cycle. So anyway, guys, hopefully you liked the video. Like, subscribe, join the Discord, and have a good night.